All right, another new concept. So we're on our third new concept, right? Sales. So we have purchaser concepts, seller concepts, and now freight terms. So when I buy stuff from somebody as a purchaser, or I sell stuff to somebody, there's always this question of like, how's the stuff going to get to them, right? Sometimes it's easy. They drove to my store, they bought it, and they pick it up and they leave. Other times we have to ship it. So these terms get used not only in this chapter, but in real life. And these are FOB Shipping Point and FOB Destination. FOB sounds like it could be like someone you don't like. They're a real FOB, but that's not what it means. It means freight on board, okay? And so what it really means is once the freight, the stuff that you're shipping gets loaded on board the truck, the freight is on board, okay? So we can have FOB Shipping Point, which means as soon as the seller loads the goods on to the truck to send them to the buyer, the title or ownership passes to the buyer as soon as they're loaded on the truck. With FOB Destination, the title or ownership of the goods remain the seller's all the way till the truck arrives at the buyer's location. This matters for a couple of reasons. First of all, it matters from an accounting standpoint as to when do I take this inventory, if I'm the seller, out of my inventory and record it as a sale, right? Do I do it at the time I load it on the truck here, or do I have to wait until they accept it at the other end? It also matters in legal proceedings for things like what happens if the truck gets in a crash along the way? Who has to deal with it? Was it my stuff or was it the buyer's stuff? So that's why it's important when you're filling out the paperwork or making a deal with somebody to understand the freight terms. Who owns it, when, and where? Yeah.
Which one is more often in real life?
Shipping point is probably the most common. I don't know. Maybe not. I was thinking in terms of like business to business transactions, but then I started thinking of like I'm pretty sure every Amazon transaction is destination based, right? Like I don't consider that I own it till I get it, and they take responsibility if it never gets to me. So probably I take it back. Probably if we start to consider the sheer volume of consumer transactions that now occur via common shippers like UPS and USPS and FedEx, it's probably destination, because man, I don't know, did anybody buy anything from Amazon this week? A couple of us. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's that common, right? It's all the time. My son recently, he's like, Dad, he's a senior in high school. Dad, check this out. And it pulls out like Lord Voldemort's wand. He's like, I bought this. Like, why? Because it's dope. Okay. And then the next day, another box arrives, and I'm like, what is that? The Elder Wand? And like, pretty soon he's got like all these wands. Like, you spent like $300 on wands. He's like, I know, it's awesome, right? And I'm just like, what? All right, whatever. I don't know why. He's got like a whole collection of wands. So probably don't go mess with him, because he will put some kind of curse on you. All right. So just recognize the difference between FOB Shipping Point and FOB Destination. Also recognize this. When the buyer pays for the freight, they just lump in the cost of freight as the part of their inventory cost, because it's the cost of the stuff they're buying, right? So not only what they paid the seller, but also the cost of freight. So their transaction is inventory increases by the total cost in cash or accounts payable on the other side of it. When the seller pays for freight, it's pretty normal for them to record delivery expense as a separate expense. It's a little confusing. So again, another reason to have to say to yourself, am I the buyer or the seller in this transaction? And who's paying for the freight? If I'm the buyer and I'm paying for the freight, I need to add that freight into my inventory cost. If I'm the seller and I'm paying for freight, I'm usually going to record this as an expense separate from my cost of goods sold.